They've been in the saddle making business for over 100 years. That's Jim on the left, and Paul there is his son. Together they make some of the finest saddles in the country. In fact, even Princess Anne has ridden one. Jim, I bet there's not much that you don't know about saddle making.
No. Matter of fact, as I say, I've been in it for just on 65 years. I retired last June. I started hand stitching from school. I used to have to come home from school during the Depression days and stitch 4 parts, and that for the saddles, for the men to put into the saddles at 9 years of age.
Do you think saddle making's in your blood?
I think it might be. Well, I'm the 4th generation, and Paul, the son, is the 5th generation.
So your great-grandfather started it?
The great-grandfather, and he was the first saddler in Queensland.
These saddles really look more like works of art than a sturdy
Well, they
seat.
are, more or less, to the average person, but of course it's like everything else. Every tradesman it's left to him to produce what he thinks is, in his own mind, how a saddle, works out, sort of thing, you see.
And how long would it take to make one?
Well, to make a saddle there, depends on the quality, too, of the saddle, of course, but the average saddle would be about 11 to 12 hours.
The first step in making a saddle is to check the leather for any flaws or marks. Once that is done, the leather is cut into some basic shapes that will be stitched together later. The leather is then stamped with an individual pattern, and a separate machine makes an imprint of the saddle's name. Once the leather is dyed and the panels prepared, they are handed on to the saddler, who then marks out the stitching lines for the machinist. This heavy machinery stitches the pieces together so it can withstand years and years of hard work. Once the basics of the saddle are stitched together, the tree or backbone has to be put into place. Now, in Jim's day, the tree was made out of wood and steel, like this one here. But times have changed, and today Paul uses a synthetic material which is just as strong and reliable. So, Paul, what is this material?
Well, this material is a structural polyurethane, and we have fiberglass reinforcings put into the areas that really counts, Kristine. And we have found the polyurethane is much superior, and it has a more durable and longer lifespan than your wood and steel trees.
Mm-hmm. So is the tree a very important part of the saddle?
Yes, Kristine, it is. The actual shape of the tree determines the design of the finished saddle, and it's also very important for the shape to be correct so that it fits both the horse and rider properly.
And how exactly do we get this tree into the saddle?
Well, after a few basic preparation stages, what we do is we actually glue up the actual seat itself, and the saddler prepares his actual saddle flaps and seat that's already been machined together so that the seam is rubbed out, and you've seen Alan rubbing the seam out, and he then uses pompies and blocking sticks to put the leather into shape around the tree itself.
The saddle is almost ready. All that needs to be done is the stuffing of the lining underneath. This acts like a cushion for the horse and balances the rider's weight. It's very important the padding is even and thick so the horse and rider are comfortable. The final stages of saddle making involve a few finishing touches, a bit of oil, and then the saddle is ready for action. Well, after all that hard work, this little beauty is the final product. These saddles are made to last, and they look so good, I'm sure any horse would be proud to wear one.